Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Pipeline Pioneers, a sales intel show where our focus is to learn from the practitioners, from the leaders, and from the experts as to how to generate the most optimal pipeline for your business. As we know, pipeline is the heart blood of any organization, and we at SalesIntel believe that generating pipeline is a team sport. It's not just a responsibility of a BDR organization or the marketing team. It truly takes a village to build a pipeline that converts into revenue. Today, I'm excited to have Kristie Jones from Selling Your Way In, right? You're the author of Selling Your Way In.
I am.
Kristie, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I love how you said that. I say this all the time because I'm a big sports girl. So it is a team sport. I love how you put that. I'm all on board.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Kristie, to kick things off, why don't you tell audience about yourself, about your business, and how in your role do you help influence the pipeline generation process?
Absolutely. About 8 years ago, I went out on my own. I was a former sales leader of lots of B2B SaaS companies, but decided that I could help more companies if I went out on my own. So I started Sales Acceleration Group in 2016. And so today we mostly help Series A funded B2B SaaS companies. Once they've kind of gotten that money, the VCs like you to spend it on people and product, as I say. So I'm going to take the people side of that. So I love to come in and help the founders. A lot of them have been doing founder-led selling, get all of that information they have out of their brain. So I don't want to hire any sales professionals until we've got the process now down on paper and put into the CRM system. So I kind of build out the playbook with whomever's available, whether that be the founder, marketing, customer success. So we get together and run some workshops so I can get all that information out of people's heads and onto paper. And then I want to help them build their first sales team. So it's sometimes pretty hard. It's not being the number one sales professional at a startup is not for everyone.
Yep.
So I'm trying to help identify the people that really can come in and help really figure out some of those beta things, some of the messaging, those type of things. And then occasionally I do interim sales leadership and speaking engagements. So as far as the building out of the funnel, it's all about that. I would say my specialty is top of the funnel because as you know, as we talked about earlier, without the pipeline, there's no revenue. Mm-hmm. And so it has to start at the top of the funnel, and anemic pipelines are killing revenue quotas. I mean, the majority of SaaS B2B reps are not hitting quota, and the majority of them have no way to hit quota because they don't have the 4X or 5X pipeline that would be necessary to do so.
Yep. So couldn't agree more with you. Kristie, last year was hard, right? There was just not enough pipeline to convert to revenue. Lots of companies missed their numbers, and the pipelines that were there, because of the macroeconomic headwinds, the sales cycles were getting longer, so they didn't convert in time.
Yep.
So, and we all made a lot of mistakes, right? When you look back at 2023, is there something that jumps out to say, gosh, I wish I had done things differently?
I think for a lot of the clients that I worked with, it was panic causes bad decisions and not really sticking with something long enough. So we call it the squirrel effect. Not like, 30 days into something or 20 days into something, giving up on a strategy. And I think we were giving up. We were panicking. And so we were giving up on strategies that, again, some of this is like for sure in pipeline building, some of it's long game. Mm-hmm. And I understand you need some short game, but the bottom line is, like, I call them NRNs. There's so many not right nows out there, right? So I never call them no's. I just call them not right nows. If you really are prospecting into your ICP, then it's not a fit because of we don't need your product. It's a fit because of an NRN, and not right now. Timing, budget, competing project, already under contract. And so I think one of the things that people didn't have in place, so I'm all about formality of processes. And one of the processes that I see that doesn't have formality around it is nurture. And so particularly if maybe your marketing department is not responsible for that, but when you get a not right now, whether or not you get that on the first cold call you make, or whether you get that while in the sales cycle and it's a closed lost deal, you have to have a formal nurture strategy, because the people that, like, someone's going to have a problem that has not been solved either with the current vendor or the situation that they're in. And you always want to stay top of mind to make sure that you get that phone call when things start to go wrong for the prospect that you've been chasing.
Yep. Such a golden nugget here. And I couldn't agree more with you. 9 out of 10 companies don't focus effectively on nurturing the deals that they lost, right? This is awesome. Kristie, so 24 is here. We all have new initiatives, new budgets, and new experiments. What is one thing that you are most excited about when it comes to pipeline generation for your clients or your own business?
I think one of the things I've been talking a lot about is expansion. And so again, formality around expansion, which I'm also not seeing a ton of. Sometimes, I think there's some confusion in the marketplace, if you will, or in our industry. Should expansion be a net new account executive controlling that? Should that be an expansion specialist? Should that be a CSM or an AM? And so like, that's the low hanging fruit, right? So as we're coming out of 2023 and into 2024, we definitely, of course, want to start to bring in new logos and get that net new number up. But the easiest money is in the expansion. And that's also where you're going to probably find your referrals. And so I think, making sure that whether that's no matter who's responsible for it, that there is a strategy. What does the health score look like? How do we identify what a green, yellow, red customer looks like? And how do we identify those greens and go after those greens? Like, what are those health metrics that let you know that, hey, they're ripe for an expansion and or they're ripe for a referral? So, we're looking for those net promoter scores, those 8, 9s, and 10s, but other behaviors as well. So I had sort of been preaching at the end of last year, beginning of this year, we need an expansion strategy too, because when you're still struggling to close that Q1 quota and you just need, $50,000 or $100,000, that may come from inside the network, so to speak, as opposed to outside the network.
Focus on the existing customers, look at who are happy and expand within those customers. And if you can, get the referrals from them.
Yeah, I mean, even within larger corporations, other divisions that aren't customers of yours, sister companies, like it's not just, maybe more seat licenses or that type of thing within your own. I mean, in a bigger corporation, you've got, you should be able to get internal referrals to other departments, other divisions, sister companies. If there's an acquisition, you should be going after the parent company. So, I mean, it still can be considered, expansion within the greater account, but some of that's net new business depending on, how you define budget, right? A lot of times net new business is net new budget.
Yep.
But again, because the cold call is such a hard, cold outbound prospecting is super hard. And, and it takes a long time. And again, that's the long game. In the short term, there's a lot warmer ways to probably go about adding new logos that don't involve picking up the phone and calling somebody that's never heard of you before.
Couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more with you, Kristie. So let's switch the gears. As we know, the growth of pipeline comes from many different channels, right? Mm-hmm. And our job as leaders is to make sure that we allocate our dollars effectively across those channels, right? So here you can see my screen. You have 100 pennies on the left-hand side. Each coin is worth 10 pennies. And on the right side, here are all the channels that go-to-market leaders use to build the pipeline. Your goal in this exercise, Kristie, is to use these 100 pennies across these channels in a way that will yield an effective pipeline generation, right, for your business or one of your clients. How will you distribute these pennies?
Got you. As long as I'm spending your money and not my money or my client's money, I'm gonna put a couple of pennies into events.
Okay.
I think some of the things that's been missing since the pandemic is that face-to-face.
Yeah.
And people, again, those are for sure your ICP, right? If you go to a conference and somebody has taken time out of their week or whatever to, to go to an event, I think there's a great chance that, you should be able, like people who come by the booth or that you seek out for coffee, that's a face-to-face connection I think sometimes that makes that cold outbound prospecting that much harder. So I'm going to put some money into face-to-face.
Okay. So I put 30 pennies.
I'm going to put 2 pennies, I think, in the face-to-face.
All right, let's put 2 pennies.
I'm going to put, I'm actually going to put I'm going to put 1 penny in partnerships.
1 penny in partnerships.
I do believe that there's always the opportunity for partnerships out there.
Yep.
I'm going to put, customer-led growth. We talked about that. So I'm going to put a couple pennies in the customer-led growth area. I believe in that.
Yeah.
I'm going to put a couple pennies in sales.
Okay. I'm just going to put 2, when you say couple, unless you...
Yeah, 2. Yep, 2. I'm going to put 2 in marketing and I'm going to put 2 in product.
2 in marketing, unfortunately.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I have 1 left. I'm going to put 2. I'm going to put 1 in marketing and 2 in product then. I believe in product.
Okay, 1 in marketing and 2 in products.
Yeah, I mean, again, we've got to be keeping up. I mean, I think a lot of the things I see is companies struggling to keep up with the competitor. So I think it's, the product, the roadmap, all of that is super important because it doesn't matter how great your sales team is if your product is lagging.
That's right. What is your community? I'm hearing a lot about community-led growth from some of the go-to-market leaders. What's your take on that?
I think probably the bias I have against community is because I'm working with small, earlier stage startups, under 5 million in revenue. And so we're probably not at the life cycle stage where they're building out community. I have worked for organizations. In fact, I was a former Gainside executive, and community for us was extremely important. Our annual Pulse conference, the majority of people that came to Pulse conference were non-customers. Were actually not customers. So but almost at that time, about 3/4 were non-customers to a fourth customers. So I think if you're adding value in that way, I think the community can be a great advocate. You could be the community could be influencers for you. I think probably my bias is that the companies I'm working with are so small that we're not there yet.
Got it. Got it. So you believe in community, but for the companies at the Series A stage, you're focusing.
Yeah, I think
more
when you've
on
got a
the
limited
product.
amount of money like we do at the Series A stage, we can't spend it everywhere.
That's true. That is true. Well, let's take a look at this slide. This is the industry benchmark, right? GTM leaders,
Nice.
when they were given 100 pennies, this is how the averages played out. This is how they decided to spend their pennies. When I overlay your data, your responses on top of it, the orange shows the comparison against the blue of community. When you look at this chart, is there something that surprises you?
Not really. I think the only thing that, again, it depends on what the average size of the customers and the benchmark was, but brand surprises me a little bit. I'm surprised that event is so small because that is, I mean, again, I know it's expensive, but you don't always have to have a 10 by 10. Sometimes you can just go as an attendee and have good conversations, or you can be a breakout speaker. There are a lot of ways to leverage a conference without spending, a ton of money on a 10 by 10 or 10 by 20 booth. I'm a little surprised by event because I think that's I think part of the outbound prospecting problem in the top of the funnel is we're missing that human connection.
I agree with you. The world has moved on from the pandemic, right? If you will, now B2B marketers, the go-to-market teams have to do the same.
Yes.
Great. Well, Kristie, this was very, very helpful. I'm sure our community is going to appreciate your nuggets, and we'll take some of them and implement within their businesses. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. It was great to talk to you.